Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. UFC Vegas 31 is upon us. We just got done with UFC Vegas 264, one of the biggest cards of the year. We lost the fight, so we ended up with 12 total. And guess what? We ended up going 10-2 overall. Instagram account is still all messed up, but we posted up in the stories there some of our actual bets that hit. We were actually quite happy with the way that all went. And I think that comes down to just the analysis that we made, right? I think the Aldana fight, for example, where it was very much a toss-up, you just saw the boxing come into play really quickly. And I made the comment that her and Alexa Grasso were such great friends. And you look at the way that Alex Grasso fought Macy Barber, and she completely annihilated her in every aspect of the game. And I thought that was something that, coming off of the Holly Holm loss, Aldana was going to address. Now you look at the Super Saiyan pick with our boy Tai Tuivasa, 5-0 overall in the Super Saiyan pick. If you haven't jumped on that yet, start jumping on it because we're having fun with that one. Funny enough, the runner-up Super Saiyan pick was Brad Tavares, and I just couldn't believe that I was seeing so many opinions of, seeing Omari come out of that one with a big win, because frankly, even cardio-wise, I was hearing a lot of bump for that, and I just didn't see it. I thought that Brad Tavares had incredibly underrated balance in wrestling going into that fight, and his striking was always going to be better. And I think that split decision is one of the more insulting ones I've seen in a long time. But shout out to Eric Nixick, shout out to Extreme Couture, and shout out to Brad Tavares for putting off such an amazing victory. And obviously the main events, one of the main ones, we actually lost out on the Burns and Wonder Boy fight. And with that one, we actually said, right, it's all going to come down to how well Steven can deal with some of those takedowns. And frankly, it was just an overpowering situation. And I think Gilbert Burns' strength just in that situation is something very, very difficult to deal with for even the best fighters in the world. So it's pretty cool to see where this can all play out. And, with Colby getting that next shot, I think Gilbert's going to be kind of on the waiting end and hopefully getting the rematch or the winner of that fight. That'd be kind of cool to see. But overall, just such a great card. We saw the Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier come to an end for now, I guess. There's a lot of talk of a potential fourth fight, but we'll see how that all plays out. I think Dustin Poirier now is ready to get back to actually being a UFC fighter, away from all this camera stuff. He seems to absolutely hate it and gets the fight for his title again. So I think that's a very exciting 155 division to keep an eye on. And without further ado, let's ride this 10-2 record into the sunset, leading into Vegas 31 with Islam Makhachev and Thiago Moises headlining the card. We ended up losing so many fights on this card, right? The Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez fight. It's a quite sad one when you think about it. Darren Wynn was supposed to fight Phil Hawes, I believe. A lot of great fighters and a lot of up-and-comers that we could have seen. But all in all, still putting together a pretty good card. And let's kick it off with the first fight. We got Alan Baudot and Rodrigo Nascimento. Now, obviously, this is a heavyweight fight, but just very interesting careers to take a look at. First of all, both guys had the very unlucky experience of dealing with two of the best prospects in the UFC when it comes to heavyweights, with Tom Aspinall getting short notice, Alan Baudot, and Rodrigo Nascimento taking his first career loss to Chris Daukaus. Now, in my opinion, I think that Rodrigo Nascimento just underestimated how good Chris Daukaus' striking can be in that fight. I think that the size difference there was really playing into, he's going to be a very undersized heavyweight. Who knows if he's going to be able to use those hands? Nascimento is such a big game, BJJ fighter who can take a punch and maybe get this to the ground. But the plus 230 dog showed that he should have probably been a minus 300 favorite. And he's probably going to see similar lines till he starts to hit those big sharks in the top 5, top 10. But outside of that, I really think that the Baudot side of things is something to look at, because in terms of quality of opponent, UFC history, and all the things that he's kind of been through in his career, just a big red flags, right? I like the camp that Nascimento comes from with ATT. And, he had great showings leading into that Chris Daukaus fight, who I still think is a top 10 fighter in the heavyweight division. So that was the big thing. You saw him have success on the ground with Dontal Mays when he actually took the back so quickly. And even on the Dana White Contender Series, right, arm triangle very quickly. So for me, it's just about, being able to deal with the damage coming from Baudot and probably finding this, away against the fence or even to the ground as quickly as possible and finishing the fight. I think that the only area he's going to have an issue to deal with is the striking. And Alan Baudot is a very interesting case, right? I actually looked a little bit harder into him to find some of the videos, and even his most recent, actual win against Nakajima in Japan was just something that really struck me. The guy's an 0-5 fighter. Seems like Nakajima retired in 2018, and he was primarily a light heavyweight fighter, and he was just 5'10". He only fought once at heavyweight, which was against Alan Baudot, and he even fought for the Korean promotion AFC welterweight title before calling it quits. So in terms of overall quality, I like the camp, MMA Factory with Cyril Gane and all of those things. But I mean, we've seen this so much of just like really, really good training partners that are considered, potential title challengers in their gym. But I mean, it's not taking the same fighter into the next fight, right? So for me, I just think that in a lot of areas outside of striking, Baudot has problems in this fight. And the big thing is he's just not very accurate. He's kind of wild with his strikes, right? He just loves making everything exciting. You even see him throw a couple judo tosses in a few of his fights, but I just don't see him taking a chance with any judo throws in this one. It's going to be about managing distance. He likes to get those knees up when his back's against the fence. That's going to help him. I mean, if Nascimento is really trying to push the clinch and get up in there, him using that Muay Thai with the elbows and the knees is going to be very, very opportunistic for him. And outside of that, I really think it's managing the distance. Don't run in there the way you have against other fighters. Even Daljim Lungiambala was able to just finish him so quickly because this guy thought he was smelling blood and just swung wildly and then just ate a big punch right on the chin that put him lights out, highlight reel finish. And so I just think that the keys to victory or paths to victory here are just so easy for both guys, right? Nascimento, don't treat it like you're disrespecting Chris Daukaus. Keep those hands up, gauge that distance and range very quickly so you can start setting up your takedowns, your work up against the fence, just trying to get this fight to the ground as quick as possible. And on the flip side, same thing for Doe. Gauge that range, gauge that distance so you can't be taken aback by anything that's like switching levels or getting up against the fence where you can actually do some of your damage, because he's definitely going to be looking at striking and 100% looking to improve on what was his debut showing, whereas Nascimento has a bit of a backing to ride, and I think that's going to show in the lines here. I would be very shocked to see Nascimento anything under a -170 to a -160. I really think after doing research in this fight, it's just really difficult for me to find ways for Baudot to win outside of the striking. Being with training partner with such a technical striker like Cyril Gane, it's kind of surprising to see how he goes about his striking game, always trying to keep it exciting, I'm sure, but at this weight class, having those kinds of openings is just never a good thing. So I'm going with something around that -160 to a -190 range. And so let's take a look here. Holy mother. I mean, I could have been way off. Obviously, he isn't anything less than a -170. So it looks like Nascimento opened as a -363 and is now sitting at around a -350 overall. It's pretty clean cut what they believe is going to happen here. And the big thing is if he can take a punch, there just doesn't seem very many ways for him to lose this fight, especially in the later rounds. Baudot's the only guy to see a third round. And to be honest, he ended up losing the fight via submission, but actually got the win because of a disqualification because of the weed smoke in there. So it's just, like I said, a very questionable career, and I know he's very excited to take this UFC by storm, but at the same time, the quality of opponent right now is just about to skyrocket for him, and I'm not sure if he's ready for that kind of talent.